Hello and a very warm welcome to Kronos. Do you want to find out how X Factor tried to manipulate the NDL into removing Kronos? Stay tuned and find out. In this special episode, we're gonna see how X Factor tried to pull it off. Kronos noticed several announcements of an exposure event organized by X Factor, and as much as we trust this to be just another failed attempt to harass our crew, we do feel the need to react up front. Both Kronos and X Factor are in the NDL Pro. NDL invited X Factor to the NDL Pro division for the Season 4, and well, if NDL says it's safe, we have nothing more to add. We will fight them if they tell us to. Some of our crew contacted the X Factors even to check them out. It was a new clan in the league and we wanted to make sure what we were up against. But seeing the toxicity and behavior amongst the X Factor members, we decided to part ways as late December 2018. On December the 16th, some of the Kronos players teamed up with some friends and did a Town Hall 12 vs 12 tourney with one account short. They invited X Factor leader Scott to complete the team, and they successfully cooperated in the event, which was unrelated to NDL or any other league. Well, it was in another country, so to speak. A separate Discord server was created to keep the main Discord server of Kronos apart from it. We never heard anything back from this event or the members in that event. The semifinals were lost and everybody went their own merry way. Well, that's what we thought. Because of January 31st, Kronos teamed up for a joint war with some friends, and we met X Factor in a random spin. With a considerable disadvantage, Kronos and friends still beat X Factor in a very exciting match. And then things suddenly changed. On the 16th of February, Kronos and X Factor are set up to match in NDL Pro. In preparation for this match, the X Factor crew were harassing Kronos members and casting shade on their clan. And the last few days, even a server was created by the X Factor crew. And it's not just any server, it is the Kronos Retirement Party server. Well, keep in mind, this is erected by the X Factor members, and additionally a timer was created to count down the Kronos retirement because they were gonna expose Kronos. Both the Discord server and the timer were made by X Factor members, and they were condoned by the leadership of X Factor. It's no coincidence that X Factor chose the timer to go off at the start of the Kronos vs X Factor NDL match, Saturday the 16th of February. X Factor resides at the bottom of the NDL competition, and by removing Kronos, they could make it into the playoffs. A curious detail is that the main X Factor member posting the threats against Kronos is the same member who published Kronos Warbases in the Season 3 finals of the NDL. Harry Belzonia came into Kronos halfway 2018 with a friend. Although Harry was considered to be a troll and a trouble magnet, Kronos gave him a chance to show his commitment. Unfortunately, it was short-lived. Kronos caught Harry to falsely try to expose other clans, and he admitted it was a fake. Kronos won't tolerate unfair or harassive behavior both inside and outside the clan. Harry Belzonia was kicked halfway August 2018 after trying to falsely expose LP4 Hades, and he said he was the one who got Coastal Clash banned, which is of course ridiculous and bollocks. As payback for his removal, Harry Belzonia accessed the account of a friend and recorded a video of the Kronos bases which he sent to the opponent of the Season 3 finals of the NDL. Unfortunately, his action proved to be futile, since Kronos still won that match. It's quite safe to say this individual showed a repeated pattern of trolling and lying about exposing clans over the years. Kronos leadership has no doubt about the fair play commitment of our entire crew. But we're not ignorant either. If someone brings up an issue, we will look into it, and in case of doubt, we will take the better safe than sorry approach. Backtracking to what X Factor might produce, we'll look back at the moments we were in contact and we reviewed the communication in the 12 vs 12 server. And we found out what X Factor is gonna try to sell to the public. Just to be clear, this 12 vs 12 server was not a Kronos server. There were Kronos members on there with members from a lot of other clans, and they talked about cracks. Well, in the mod community, the word crack is used when people practice on the base with third-party software and find a stable plan to 3-star their base. But what X Factor doesn't know, because they're not fair play, in the fair play community the word crack is also used as a term for having a decent and likely to 3-star plan on a base. It's common in a lot of clans in South America, and in Europe as well. Since Kronos is at the pinnacle of war clans in fair play leagues for several of years, Kronos bases are commonly used by other clans. Most matches, they find bases they created themselves and used themselves previously. Kronos players know which plans work on their own bases, and these plans are also referred to as cracks. What X Factor is trying is to persuade the community there was a covert mod chat. following the logic of that word crack might implicate third-party use, all players are comfortable using that term in that server 100% of the time. Every base is called cracked if they got it. However, they never talk about the, by X Factor suggested, other terms involving third-party apps. Of the 100% of the comments they made about practice, all attacks are referred to as practiced in FC, practice in the clan, practice on a base which is available. On top of that, the 12 vs 12 tourney was a tourney where 10 Town Hall 12 accounts had to perform 20 attacks in 1 hour. Tourneys like these have a war day of 1 hour. This concept was created by the organizers to prevent use of mods. With 20 attacks in 1 hour, there's no time to build the opponent's base, practice the attack and execute that plan in 1 hour. The concept of this tourney prevented practice by mods. In preparation to the semi-final, some team members practiced how to approach the next opponent by attacking their style of bases from the 11th to the 16th of December, which is quite common. The event was even streamed and all previous bases were on YouTube. They found a commonality in the opponent's bases to create good plans, also known as cracks. There is nothing in that server that even indicates the use of third-party applications. There is nothing in that server that indicates unsportsmanship-like behavior even. The single thing that could be abused by X Factor is the word crack. If a screen was made out of context, one could create the impression that third-party apps were involved, but the context of the chat shows that was not the case. This leads to the following. If X Factor had serious concerns about the fair play commitment of 3-season NDL competitor Chronos, they could have addressed those concerns to the appropriate staff in the NDL, the Fair Play Investigations team. But they didn't, because they were well aware their accusations were bullshit and the Fair Play Investigations team would find out. So they needed to shade us in front and make a server before the NDL could investigate. If X Factor was really seriously worried about a fair play commitment, they could have had 2 months to address their concerns. Seeing they even made a timer to expose these concerns, we believe it's safe to assume the issue is abused to gain an advantage in the public perception, which is obviously not in the spirit of fair play. Scott didn't leave the 12 vs 12 server and even participated at war. As examples of things taken out of context, we have a screen for you. Everyone, war is at 1 PM EST on Saturday. DM me ASAP if you definitely can't war. I need to make sure I got bases covered on every base. This refers to we have to get fresh bases for ourselves. And since war day is only 1 hour in this tourney, Ass made some strats to use before the war. He made them in November, the plans to crack a base. We have clear evidence of using the FC function in-game for attacks on recycled bases. One base was used in Chronos. Ast even says he hoped for recycling the bases, which would be irrelevant if third-party apps were involved. And third base number 9 is also available, fair play, by the FC function in-game. But I'd like to say, this screen says it all. Hopefully they rerun the bases, so it's not related to third-party apps. Last war bases, not related to third-party apps. Where can I crack? Not related to third-party apps, since the location of a third-party app is on your device and you don't have to ask where it is. Siege, not available, as far as we know on third-party apps, so how could he have cracked on a third-party app with a Siege when there's no Siege available on that app? Who has it built? Is the last referred to a base fair play practice in clan? And there is also a comment, RIP, 4 is hard without a slammer. Yeah, well, without a slammer is the concept of the 12 vs 12 tourney, because you couldn't use the additional ones like sieges, like slammers, like everything that came out new. Furthermore, the tourney was on the 16th of December, and December 11th we built some bases to practice this style of attacks. Their bases could be taken down by several strats, which S wrote already in November. Again, this counterproves the talks were about active war bases in this 1 hour event. And last but not least, but if X Factor says, well, if you talk about crack, you're not fair play, why does the leader of X Factor talk about I'll crack that last base when I'm home? Oh, sorry, you guess you forgot about that. And let me mention again, Scott was there with the current clan member Red before, during and after the war. He is well aware this accusation is a wrongful attempt to cast shade. In fact, the entire X Factor case is based on this. We have three voice channels which are called CrackChat 1, CrackChat 2 and CrackChat 3. This is the case of X Factor. X Factor is exposing a clan, well, not coincidentally, just in the day they want to fight them in NDL, and they're gonna lose poorly, and they're gonna expose Kronos because they are on another server, and there are three voice channels there called CrackChat 1, CrackChat 2, CrackChat 3. Well, good luck, X Factor.